Hey guys, and welcome back to the Hatha Yoga Mama podcast. Today's episode, I am going to elaborate a little bit more on manifesting my first journey to India, or my first soul trip. So, if you listen to the last episode, I spoke about, kind of how I was basically a poor, starving art student who ended up manifesting a 2.5 month, 3 month long trip to India on a just pretty much by manifesting every step of the way. Not really having any solid plan, just trusting the universe, taking these steps and having those steps appear before, as you're taking the step before you fall, and it just pops right up out of nowhere. And you're like, holy shit, that just happened. All right. All right, here we are. So that's basically what happened to me, and I was young, I was 20 years old, and I was just like, holy shit, and I'm gonna go to India, and I'm gonna learn from these yogic sages for 6 weeks in an intensive yogic training of learning all sorts of wild things, really living, breathing yoga, eating the yogic diet, like all of the things, living the lifestyle, um, and really taking advantage to embody it, which I was so happy and just so grateful that I was able to do that when I did. Um, but anyway, so as far as I got in the last episode was basically like I had my visa, I was gonna go. I knew my school and everything. I had gotten that scholarship I had mentioned, which was again, it was just such a blessing. It was amazing. Um, and manifested my plane ticket. And yeah, all the balls were set in motion. I really just had to like go and do it. And so it was ready to go. And so from there, I will tell the very first day one. I say day one, but it was more like, I don't know, 50 some hours. But it was one long day in my world, um, of how it all went down because it's quite an amusing story and just kind of goes to show how much, yeah, just manifestation happens and how quickly. But anyway, so without further ado, it was coming up to the time of when my plane was going to be leaving, and my family wasn't super supportive of that. I kind of touched on that in the last episode. People were really scared for me. They were like, oh my God, you're going to die. You're going to get murdered. And we're never going to see you again. All of the things. People were just terrified for me. And I was just like, it's fine. I'll be fine. I am manifesting good things here. And I am going to find the positive in this situation. And people just kind of thought I was crazy. And anyway, my dad threw me a nice going away party, before I left at his house, and it was summertime or towards summertime, I guess. And he has a pool and things, and he invited all of our family, and yeah, everyone just came, and we just got absolutely wasted. We got absolutely tanked. We were smoking weed. We were just having a big old party in the backyard. And I remember specifically like some of my uncles and stuff, um, whom I love and adore and respect and all of the things, go looking at me going, I would be scared shitless if I were you. I can't believe you're doing that. I would never in my life do that. I can't believe it. And I was kind of catching myself being like, oh shit, like even these grown ass men who like I would think aren't afraid of anything are telling me they wouldn't even want to go do this. Like they would be too scared. Like, am I crazy? Like, am I just on a death mission? Like, what the fuck am I doing here? So I did have that doubt, creeping in, but I was just like, oh, it's gonna be fine. And I was very much, like you know, your vibe attracts what you're bringing in. So if I'm just not gonna live in fear, I'm gonna live out of a vibration of love, and that we're all here to help and support each other. And that's what I believe I'll get back if I'm, you know, putting that out there. And they just kind of looked at me and laughed and drank their Bush Light and whatever, loved life, moved on, was just like best of luck, kid. And I was just like, "Hey, I don't know, this is crazy. Maybe I am nuts." Anyway, so then it was, almost time for me to go the day before, whatever, that my plane is leaving. Um, and yeah, I was gonna be gone for a few months. It was the first time I was ever going overseas, anything like that. And yeah, I was going completely alone, to a third world country, and my family was terrified. So naturally, when it comes time to pack, my brother and I take a bunch of mushrooms and have just really nice discussions and all the things, and then realize like that I need to pack for my trip. And so I had this big duffel backpack. And like, yeah, just like a massive one, that was what I was going to pack, all my belongings for the next 3 months. Anything I could need, had to be in this bag, more or less. And that just kind of really melted my mind on these mushrooms. I'm just like, what do you really need? Like, I don't really know. Like, we don't really need anything. And maybe I just won't pack anything. And I was just like, wait a second. No, we do need to pack some things. And so we kind of had some things together. I had some clothing and whatnot. But then we decided we needed to go to the store, uh, and look at things. I needed more things. And so, and this is back in 2013. And so, Walmart was still 24 hours. If they're not still now, I don't know. COVID kind of ruined that. But anyway, so it was a 24-hour store. So we went to our local Walmart. And I will never forget walking through there. The lights were so bright, and I was tripping pretty fucking hard. And we're just walking, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I need sunscreen. I think that's what I was truly going for, which was like really hilarious. But anyway, um, and my brother's just grabbing random shit from the aisles, going, "Do you think? I think you could need this. Like this is cool." And anything and everything was like something I needed, and I'm like, I don't think so, man. I think I'm good on that. And we're walking through, and we end up running into a old high school friend who we hadn't seen in years and whatever, and really nice guy. And we're both like, but it's like also like past midnight, maybe 2 in the morning or something, and running into them at Walmart. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm leaving. I'm actually moving to North Carolina, like right now. Like we're leaving right now. It's like, well, shit, man. Like, have a great trip, have a great life. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see you again, but that's lovely. I'm on mushrooms. I'm just taking this big universal view at it all. And he's just like, yeah, 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 no problem. He's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, we're just picking up a couple things. And I'm packing my bags. And I'm going on a trip tomorrow. He's like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, India. And he's like, no fucking shit. I'm like, yeah, yep. He's like, well, good luck there. I'm like, well, thank you very much. And it was really starting to sink in, like, oh shit, I'm like taking off in not that long, under 12 hours. I need to be ready. And so we would go back home and finish my packing and kind of tried to rest a little bit. Didn't really get a whole lot of sleep that night. And got up in the morning, and my family took me down to the Detroit airport, a couple hours drive. So the whole drive was just silent, There, like, I mean, there was a little bit of talking, but everyone was so nervous and scared, and they were just like, meh, they didn't want to do it. They didn't want me to go. And I was like, yeah, it's time. It's time. And it was just so sweet. I'll never forget the airport and just leaving them, and them just being so fearful that that they were just never going to see me again. And it was just a real, not reality, but I mean, it could have been. Like, it was a real fear that they were living in. It was just so painful. It was very, very painful, especially with the loss of my mother and things. Like, it was really just bringing up a lot of traumatic wounds of loss and things, and it was pretty rough. And so, but I kept my shit together, until I got through security and got around a corner where they couldn't see me anymore. And I still had hours before my flight. I could have hung out with them a little bit more, but I couldn't because I couldn't hold my shit together any longer. So I went around the corner and finally, and I just broke down. I just bawled my eyes out. But pulled my shit together, went to my gate and just sat there and waited and cried. But was like, it's okay, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be great. But I mean, yeah, of course my body was a little bit scared. Of course I was a little bit worried, and it was even more worrisome seeing like the people I am closest to and love most, so worried as well. And so it was like, oh, maybe I should be more worried. What am I doing? And I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing here. And it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be better than fine. It's gonna be better than you could ever fucking imagine. And like that was the voice that I knew was true. And so I was like, I gotta put my shit aside and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be fun. And we totally got this. So, still coming down on some mushrooms, boarding this plane to, yeah, go on this great adventure. Um, and so, yeah, got on the plane, got there to JFK. JFK, I almost missed that one, to Brussels. And that was neat because, I mean, at the time I was very much, I'd consider myself probably an alcoholic. and, and at the time, since that flight was then, it was an international flight from an international company or something. So once we left JFK, it was like, I don't know, ocean rules. What do they call that? Coastal laws. I don't fucking know. Um, but where I could drink, and I was 20 years old, and so I was not legal to drink in the U.S. You have to be 21. Um, and so they like offered me wine. I'm like, oh no shit, this is lovely. So I just got pretty darn wasted from Brussels. So like coming right off the shrooms, go right into this, drinking pretty heavily. All the way across the ocean, get to Brussels, get off the plane. I've got like a 3 hour layover or something, 2 hour layover, I don't know. And I'm in Brussels and I'm like, well, shit, I might as well go have a Stella Artois. So I went and sat down at the bar and bought my first legal drink, which was fun. That happened at like an airport internationally before I was 21. I really did enjoy enjoy that beer. That was a very fun little time, and I was just like, holy shit, here I am. Took some mushrooms yesterday, and now I'm sitting in the Brussels airport, ready to go to Delhi next, and get out and then take a 7 hour car journey north to the Himalayas. And holy fucking shit, this is my life. So that was quite wild. And got on that plane again, pretty fucking wasted, and just continued drinking all the way to Delhi. Slept a little bit, but I couldn't sleep super great on the plane, so I was just on and off, awake and drinking, and got there and made it to Delhi. Got off the airplane and was just like, "Holy shit, we're here!" And I remember making my way to a payphone and figuring out how to call because I didn't have a cell phone for this whole trip either. And so I used the phone to call my dad's cell phone, I believe. Might have been his house phone, but I think it was his cell phone. And I called it and it rang a couple times, and then I hear him answer on the other side of the phone, just so desperate, just hello, hello. And I'm like, hey, it's me. And they're like, where are you? Like, how are you? What's going on? Da 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 da. And this was, I don't know, over 24 hours later. I'm like, well, I made it to Delhi. I'm here. I'm gonna go find my school that I was going with. Had like kind of lined up me and a couple other people to meet up, and then all taxi up together because we were all arriving at the airport around the same time. So I was like, I gotta go find them, and then we're off north, and I'll let you know when I get up there. I'll send you an email or whatever. So my poor father, I just emailed him this entire time, never called him or anything. He could never call me. He just had to wait for my emails every few days to let him know that I was still alive. And as a mother now, like that's cruel. That's another level of just cruelty. If any of my uh, if any of my children pulled that shit on me, I would probably lose my mind, and that's probably something I need to work on too. But oh my god, my poor father. I did put him through the ringer. Anyway, so heard him and my brother on the other line, just like, oh my God, well, like, watch out and stay safe and don't travel alone and da 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 and let us know as soon as you get there. And I'm like, I know, I got it, love you, bye. Hang up and go find my people. And this was really fun because it was just like I just knew I was looking for a woman named Mimi, and she was 60 some, and I knew I was looking for a man named Augustine, and he was like close to my age and Mexican. And so I'm like, all right, I don't know how to find these two people, needles in a haystack in the Delhi um, airport. And so, but I found Mimi actually pretty quick. And she was at the cafe and she had made this cute, clever little sign that had our names on it. I'm like, of course, you smart, smart lady. Here we go. So, and it was great. I ended up having a really great bond with her the rest of my training for the next 6 weeks because she was the oldest one in our 200-hour YTT yoga teacher training, and I was the youngest one in our group. And so it was really cute that we kind of were paired together and hit it off right off the bat, like the oldest and the youngest. Let's go, everyone in between. Um, and then Augustine also ended up becoming a really dear friend of mine. And you'll hear a little bit more about him in a minute. But yeah, so found both of them and eventually found our taxi man who was taking us up north to Rishikesh, which is in like the foothills of the Himalayas, and just beautiful, beautiful country. And it's said to be like the home of or the birthplace of like yoga itself. And there's a lot of sacred sites around that area. The Tri River Ghat, the Ganges River like comes through right there. Um, there's various temples that are very sacred and famous in the practice of Hinduism and Buddhism, um, all in that area. It's just a very, very beautiful and sacred place. And by car, it's about, yeah, 7 hours or so north. And it's India cart too, so it's just wild. The rules are just the rules. If you've ever driven in India, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you've rode in a car in India, you know what I'm talking about. But it's just ruthless, and people are just like skimming right by, like inches from you, and it's quite madness. And then like just the random monkey or cow or whatever in the middle of the road, or like just and like also like pedestrians walking really dangerously close to the road, where it's like if any one wrong move, like a tragedy could happen, but like somehow it just doesn't because everyone's just on their own vibe and feeling it, and like not it's just like the craziest fucking thing you've ever seen. Like the craziest chaotic, organized symphony of wildness that like you're like this couldn't possibly work, but it does, and it is mind blowing. So I'll never forget the ride up because, like I said, this traffic was insane and it was late at night. Like we were driving from like 2 in the morning and until like 8 a.m. or whatever, um, to get up there. And I had gotten like a triple espresso from the airport before we left because like I was now coming down from being drunk and on mushrooms, and I really didn't want to go to sleep in between there and Rishikesh because I was just like, this is wild. I need to stay awake. So I got myself a bunch of caffeine, and we got in the car and started heading up. Thank God I did because as we're going, like bless our driver's soul, he was a like great, amazing driver. However, like after about an hour or so of driving, Mimi's like, I'm exhausted, I'm going to sleep. Augustine's like, I'm crashing out, and he just kind of put his head down and falls asleep, and I'm just watching, 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 and I'm just taking it all in. And I remember looking at the rear view mirror and being able to see like the driver's eyes, and I was just like, how does he even drive, and this is insane, and people are just like honking, and there's just lights, and people coming from every direction. It was just madness. And I look at his eyes and he starts like dozing off, doing one of those little head nod numbers and eyes drooping down and coming down, and I'm like, oh my God, like holy shit, no way. Like we cannot have this man fall asleep at the wheel or we will be dead. And so I like at first I didn't really believe it. I was like, no way, this guy does this all the time. There's no way he's actually falling asleep. Nope, this sir was definitely falling asleep. So when he like his head all like drops all the way down to the steering wheel, I'm like, holy fucking shit. And I like of course like smack his arm. I'm just like, hey, hello, hello, and he sits up and he goes, oh, and he kind of like realizes he's falling asleep at the wheel and is like jerking the car back and just whatever, and kind of looks and laughs a little bit, go ha 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 ha, and I'm like, oh my God, and he reaches down in his like pocket of the door of the car door and like pulls up this squirt bottle and like of just water, and just starts spraying himself all over the face with this water and rolls down his window and just for the wind to hit him and just starts smacking his face all over the place, and he's just wakening himself and he's just laughing, as he's doing it. He's like, ah, sorry, just like waking himself up, spraying himself with the spray bottle, doing the things he usually does apparently when he's falling asleep like this in his taxi driving. And it's like, oh my God, I appreciate all of your hard work and your long hours, but this is a little bit much and maybe we should get some sleep. So needless to say, I didn't sleep the rest of the ride because I wanted to make sure that we got there and that he stayed awake, of which I did have to wake him up a couple more times. So thank God, again, thank the universe that I was wild enough to need espresso at like 2 in the morning after already being up for like well over 28 hours. Um, and yeah, taking all sorts of different drugs. So again, we get up there as we get closer to Rishikesh. It did become beautiful because the sun. We basically watched the sunrise. Or I did watch the sunrise as we drove up into these mountains, and just it was gorgeous, and they were just so lush and green and jungly, and there's temples everywhere, just kind of dotting throughout the mountainside, and you'd occasionally pass through a small village and like these wild bridges and things. Like it was fucking crazy. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Like no world had I ever been in was like this. um and I was just mesmerized. And I wasn't even mad at that point. Like I wasn't even like grumpy or tired. I was full blown in astonishment. I was just like, wow, and I'm just running on this adrenaline high. So he gets us to where we need to be, to our yoga school, and it's like this big, like, um, I mean, big, like it was just a tall, like 3-level building that was kind of like horseshoe shaped, basically, with like a center courtyard, and then the horseshoe shape like held like all like the little like rooms, and you just had a small room with like a bed and a dresser and then an attached bathroom. Um, and that was, home for the next 6 weeks. So got in there, got acquainted with like where we were at, where the kitchen was, like where we would go down and eat food, and like when all that stuff was. And but they knew we were like, wary travelers, so they're like, and we had a few days before um classes actually started. So they're like, just we'll talk about all that stuff later. Just get yourselves to your rooms, you know, take a nap, shower, bathe, do whatever you want to do. Take it easy today, da da da. So I go to my room. I'm like, that sounds amazing. I need to just go lay down. I just need to go lay down and pass the fuck out. So I walk in my room and like drop my bag. I shut the door and I'm just like, like I can finally rest. I'd been on the go for like 32, 36 hours, something like that at this point, from when I had left Detroit, and like really didn't sleep at all. Again, like I said, when I was even in Detroit, I was still on mushrooms, and like after getting in the air, I like got pretty darn drunk. And like yeah, by the time I'm there, like I'm sleep deprived, I'm on caffeine and coming down from a little bit of an alcohol hangover, and just kind of now in disbelief that I'm now sitting on the other side of the world. Um, and so I'm just like, whoa, Like, and so I just kind of put my stuff down, yeah, shut my door, lay down on this bed. I kind of stretch out. It was just very simple, like thin mattress on a metal frame, and which is funny because that's like what I prefer now. Before I was all like lush, like plush tops and all the things, and now I'm like, give me a very, very flat surface with a little bit of softness. Anyway, I don't know why I just talked like that, but um, anyway, yeah. So I lay down and I'm just like, yeah, I need to rest, da da da, and like within minutes, not even a minute, I'm sure. I'm like, I can't fucking lay down. I'm in India. Like, I'm here. I'm in a little village in the middle of the Himalayas, and I've never been here before. And like, it's morning time. It's 8:30 in the morning. It's a beautiful day. It's like sunshine and blue skies and lush greenness everywhere. People wearing beautiful clothing and like just all this stuff was happening. And it's like, I can't fucking lay here and sleep. I need to go like see what's up. And so I immediately like get up. I kind of like freshen up a little bit in the bathroom. But there wasn't much to freshen up because another fun fact prior to going on this trip, I got really drunk and uh, about probably like 2 weeks before my trip, got really drunk with a bunch of friends and I had a party to shave my head for me going away to India. So I was going in the middle of summertime, so basically monsoon season in the north, and it's really hot, really humid, like 105, 120 degrees every day, like just a lot of heat. And I was like, I already had short hair and I like straightened it and all these things. And I was like, I can't do that over there. I can't bring a straightener. I can't like make it look nice. So like, fuck it. I'm just gonna shave it all. So that was actually like a super good move because then like when it came to bathing and all the things, like I had a shaved head. It was super easy. So anyway, I cleaned up and then like was just like, let's go have some fun. So I went downstairs and found, like got some fruit and whatever food they had going on. It was always like fresh cut for breakfast every single day. It was fresh cut fruit, like a porridge muesli like type thing, and then like honey that you could put on top. And it was like the fucking best thing ever. And like it's still a love language for me to be served like fresh cut fruit in the morning. Like, and I do that for my kids. Like, I'm just like, there's literally nothing better than someone just like coming to you and being like in the morning. And I'm not saying like right when you wake up, but like after you've been up for a little bit and you're starting to kind of feel the hunger, and someone just offers you this like beautiful bowl of colorful fresh cut fruit, it's just like literally the best thing in the world. So anyway, so I get myself some fruit and some breakfast and whatnot, and I sit down and I eat, and it was delicious. And uh, I see some people. Well, I saw Augustine, the Mexican guy that I rode up with. So I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, kind of touch base. And but he had slept the whole way, so he wasn't feeling so shitty. And so, and then there was two guys that he was talking to, and they like looked and sounded American, which was like amazing because I hadn't ran into another American yet. It was like just everybody was, well, other than Mimi, but she was an older woman, and I don't know, just other people in general. More friends. More friends is always good. Um, and not that I couldn't have international friends. I had tons of them, or I made tons of them there, but there was something a little bit comforting of like, oh my God, you come from my country. We kind of speak the same language, same lingo. Like, let's get down. And so he was talking to these two guys. They were both from California. And I'm like, okay, great. Like I'm finding my tribe, and because there wasn't really many people there yet either. So I was just like getting to know people, whatever. And the one guy, Stevie, he was actually from another yoga teacher training, a previous one. He's already done it. He had been hanging out there for a longer, and he was actually getting ready to go back home to San Francisco within the next week or so. And he's like, um, and so he was kind of, telling us about the area and his experience there. And, you know, um, he said something about the Beatles ashram, and I was like, oh my God, yes, I want to go to the Beatles ashram. And if you didn't know, the Beatles went to India and studied with a like a yogic sage, whatever you want to call him, guru, um, for an extensive period of time, and it became a very, very huge part of their lives, um, and inspired a lot of the music that they produced forward. And my mother was a huge Beatles fan. Like she just like really loved the Beatles. She was a woman of like the late 60s, so of course she loved the Beatles, but like, and I remember like back when CDs were a thing, and like when like you could really only get like a good mix, a good music mix if you like bought like a CD from like a catalog or from a commercial on TV or whatever, what have you. Because like you couldn't just bring it up on your computer. Like we didn't even have computers, and also yeah, like you just had the radio or like the albums themselves, like, but there was no like mix tapes, or whatever. So I specifically remember her ordering the Beatles One album, which is like a mix of a lot of their hits and whatever. Um, and she was like just so stoked about it, like, and so happy. And she got that and she played it all the time. And so like I just still to this day will play that album when I really want to like feel that connection, with her. And it brings me like such joy and also just tears, and not sad tears, but just like real feeling in the moment, and like I'm so grateful to be alive and to just have had this human experience. So, that being said, I knew that the Beatles had gone to India and had studied with an Indian like sage and whatever. And um, I, when I like going to India, I was like, I know India is a massive fucking country. Like, and you don't know how big it is till you're like traveling it and you're like, holy fucking shit, this is big. Um, but so I knew it was like big or like a big country, but I was like, I don't care. I think I had given myself like an extra 5 or 6 weeks after my yoga teacher training to travel and continue traveling for a while before going back to the States. And so within that time, I was kind of saving somewhere like a week, a couple weeks maybe in that time frame to go find the Beatles ashram and go spend some time there and check it out. Um, and so he mentioned it, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, the Beatles ashram. What's up? Like, tell me where it is. Is it like is it a plane ride away? Is it a train ride away? Is it like a 4 hour? Like, where is it? Like, yeah, I want to plan something to go see it. Like, I'm gonna wait till after this training because I got to get my training done first. But when it's done, I'm going. So like, where is it at? I'll start booking my tickets and shit now. And he's like, well, no need because it's like 10 minutes down that way. Like we can literally walk there when we're done with breakfast. And I was just like, what? Like, huh? What the fuck? Um, I came to a country that I've never like really studied a whole lot of, and like other than like I knew I wanted to go there because of Buddhism and then later on yoga. Um, and I come to this massive motherfucking country, like chose a very random, yoga school that I didn't really know anyone who had gone to it or whatever. Like I completely found it on my own search and ended up actually going there. And then it turns out that the one place that I really, really wanted to go was within the same village that I chose to go to in the first place and spend so much time in. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, that's amazing. And I just felt such a divine like alignment and like this is where I'm supposed to fucking be. Like I'm fine. This is all fine. Holy fucking shit. This is gonna be a wild, wild, wild ride. This whole trip is just gonna keep shocking me every goddamn day. you know? Um, and just keep blowing my mind and keep making me rethink what reality is and what we're really doing here. Um, and so he's like, yeah, well, you want to go after breakfast? Like, we can just walk down there, not a big deal. Like, you don't really have anything else to do today. You don't have class for a few days. And we're like, fuck yeah, like, let's do it. So, we eat breakfast and we go down to the Beatles ashram. And that was just really fucking cool. Um, we had a really good time walking around and just seeing all these they're like these stone huts that are built all throughout the land. And it's now like totally, like, what's the word? Abandoned. And so, um, it's really just like ruins, that you're kind of going through, but it's not really like ruined, but it is like definitely discombobulated and falling apart and unkept, let's say. But it's amazing. It's so, so cool. If you like to go through like old buildings and stuff like that, like this is an amazing spot to go. So it's like right on the banks of the Ganges River as well, which is just so magical. It's like it really is a magical place. And so we go through, and there's just a lot of beautiful artwork as well throughout. That's just all, Beatles related and stuff of just past travelers coming through and such. And we just had a really great time. We had a really lovely time. And I, yeah, will never, ever, ever forget that. And so we spend, quite a few hours there just kind of roaming and taking pictures and just, enjoying, life. And we mosey on out and we're walking and it's a nice warm day and um, we're just kind of moseying about and Stevie says, hey, I am leaving in like a week or a few days or whatever, however long. And it's like, and it was on my bucket list to swim to swim across the Ganges once, like while I'm here, you know. I think that'd be really cool. And we're like, whoa, like that's kind of wild, but like cool. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I tried it once, but it was like a couple months ago and the water was really way too cold. So like I didn't make it that far and swam back. He's like, but it's warmer now, it's hot. The river's a little bit warmer now. Like I really think I could do it. And like he used to be um, or he was like a trained lifeguard in his past and whatever. So he's like, I'm a good swimmer. I know I can do it. It was just not a good time. And also, there's power in numbers. It would probably be better if I did it in a group, and these other two guys are like, yeah, they're like these tall, athletic dudes. And they're like, yeah, we're strong swimmers. And I was a swimmer and I did this and I did that. And love those guys dearly. But they were just very confident. They're just like, yeah, no problem, dude. Let's go check it out. Like, let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, I had a swimming pool growing up. Like, I can swim. I know how to swim. I mean, I did do competitive swimming for like 1 year when I was like 9, but yeah, let's move on. Let's go. So we go up to the river. We go to if you have ever been to Rishikesh, we went to the right near the footbridge that is in not Lakshman Jula, but the other village. Why am I drawing a blank? Um, I'll note it in the notes or something like that. But there's a footbridge, and it's like the longest foot suspension bridge I think in like northern India. Um, and it is like just a footbridge. You can take a moped across it, but only if there's not other people on the bridge. Otherwise, you're like really fucking people over. But it's a wild bridge because you've got people and cows crossing it and like monkeys on the sides, like trying to steal your food and your shiny shit. And it's just madness all the time, but it's so fucking awesome. Anyway, so like we get over there and we're looking at this river and it's a pretty good stretch. I don't know, 75 yards at least, maybe 50 yards, I don't know, something along those lines. Um, and there's the current, of the river and it's kind of coming around this bend and then it goes under the footbridge and then which the footbridge is very high. It's suspended really high up. And And on the other side of that, it becomes like kind of rapidy. There's rocks and things and some boulders, and gets a little bit of some white water action. And so we're looking at it and we're going, if we walk up the bank a little bit and we get in there, we should be able to, in theory, swim across, moving with the current and across at the same time, and hit the bank on the other side prior to the bridge and prior to the rocks, and aka possibly death. So we're like, yeah, great plan. Let's go. And so they're like, all right, let's just go. And like this is I don't know. Men are just so funny, and I love men and women are different for reasons, and that's great. But like men are just so action oriented, and so like let's just do it then. Like fuck it, let's go. And that's literally what they did. And it like yeah, my boyfriend just throws his t-shirt off and is like, all right, let's go. So Stevie jumps in, Ashton's right after him. Augustine's going right in, and they're like literally, they're not even like, ooh, the water's cold or whatever. They're like, no, they're like right in and like swimming. They're like going for it, like wasting no time at all. And I'm standing there at the bank going, well, shit, if I don't go right now, like I'm not gonna be with that group, and I'm just like, it's done, and I'm not doing it. Like, I guess I'm fucking doing it. And so I just run and jump right in, and I just start swimming. And I'm going, and um, it was just at first it was good. I was making my way. I'm like, okay, okay, this is good. I'm like, oh, it's deep. It's really deep, like way deep. There's fucking like river dolphins in this bitch. And so get going, and as I kind of get towards the middle, I'm like getting kind of tired, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is a lot. And as I kept going, I realized that with the curve of the river, it was kind of the further I was swimming, the stronger the current was getting, and the faster the river was moving, and the less time I was having to actually complete that other half of the river. And so I get about maybe 75% across, and I am really losing steam here. I am cramping up. I could hardly breathe. The water was really, really cold. I could hardly feel my limbs anymore. And I was kind of going into just this panic, of, oh, holy shit, this is hard. This is okay. Hang on. Like, where do I got to get to? And the river is just moving me faster. And I was just really losing steam, and I was starting to I could tell if I didn't get my shit moving, um, I wasn't gonna make the safe spot. I was gonna be going right under that bridge, right into those rocks, and probably die. Probably get knocked out and then drowned. Um, and so I'm just immediately, I'm like, okay, you got to get real. Like pretend, and I like I just kind of was basically like, if I die on my very first day here trying to swim across this fucking river, my dad's gonna be so pissed. My brother is gonna be so mad. Like, they are gonna be so angry that, like, within the first 24 hours of me being there, I did something this reckless and stupid that I fucking died. Like, and I was just like, that can't, like, it literally flashed in my brain, like, them getting the news of, like, that I was dead, and I was just, and it was heartbreaking, to see their faces. And I was just like, that can't be real. That can't be the reality. But it was about to be the reality. And so I was like, all right, Kelsey, pull your shit together. Imagine that there's somebody really close right there. I was staring right at the bank where I needed to be, where I needed to get to, where it was absolutely the very last straw before I was going into the danger zone. And I said, imagine that there's somebody right there, and if you don't get to them right now, they're dead. They will be dead. Like, you have to get to them, you have to save their life. And my body really started kicking in, and like, I started feeling that second wave of like energy, that adrenaline rush. And then this little voice in my head, and it wasn't very little, it's pretty loud, goes, no, no, no. It's not someone else, motherfucker. It's you. It's you. If you don't get to the other side right there, you're gonna be fucking dead. So get to the fucking other side of this goddamn river now. And it was like, boom, just all of the energy I could possibly muster just surged through my body. And I just like, whoo, whoo, just really freestyled the fuck out of that. Just, yeah, took my breaths, like really tapped into my 9-year-old swim training of, how to breathe and, moving your arms over and taking those breaths in those really tiny moments to get the maximum energy and like space throughout your stroke. And holy fucking shit, I made it. I will never forget it in my life. I got to that point in the riverbank, and because of, like I said, because of this curve, it's not like it was like a easy, um, like gradual then incline to just like walk up on the riverbank. It was like fucking 15 feet deep, and then all of a sudden you're running into the side of the bank, and then you would have to like crawl up the side of the bank to get up there. And so I will never forget getting to that side of the bank and throwing one arm up and then the other arm up and just having to literally take every ounce of power that I had to just push, and my arms were just shaking, and to just push myself up and flop my torso over on the bank and just roll over on my back, my legs and things still in the river. And but I just was able, I just knew at least I had my fucking torso and my ass was out of the river, and I wasn't gonna get swept away into ultimate death. Um, and I flapped over, and I was breathing like a fucking fish on a deck, just like these just like crazy, like full body breathing of just like holy fucking shit. That was a close one, and my friends, all three of them were very much the same, they were on the other side, and they were just splayed out and breathing heavily and laughing, just go, holy shit, we did it, and I don't really think they noticed like how much of a struggle I was even going through. And like during the swim, they thought I was like totally fine, when like in fact I was having just this whole body, mind, spirit, fucking wild situation going down of near death experiences. And but yeah, so we're all laying there on the side of the Ganges River, just huffing and puffing, just like, oh my God, we did it, holy shit. And I finally noticed, like, I could hear just cheering, just eminent, just cheering, like just claps and hoots and hollers and all this stuff. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I open my eyes and I look up at the walking bridge, and everybody, all the traffic on that bridge and on both sides of that bridge had stopped, had came to a full stop, to watch us swim across the Ganges and make it. And they were cheering so loudly because they like, that doesn't happen. Like nobody does that. You don't, that's just dumb. It's literally just dumb to do. I actually got scolded by my yoga teacher Roshan like days later when he's like, "Oh, what did you guys do?" And we're like, "We swam across the Ganges." He was like, "All right, what?" Like he went like ghost white. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He didn't say fucking, but he was like, "Are like seriously? Like no, nobody should ever." He literally was like, "Nobody should do that." He looked at the rest of the room and was like, "Nobody else should do that. Like, do not go do that. And like, you guys do not do that again. Like, that's a very dangerous. Tons of people drowned in that river every year. Like that's outrageous. Like it was insane. Like the fact that we went and did it, um, and just like thought it was no big deal. We're just like, it's fine. We'll just figure it out as we go. It's not a big deal. It's fine. And like, it really was. It was like actually one of the most life-changing moments of my life, because I realized like I can manifest the strength and the power within me for anything that I dream up or like attempt to do or whatever. And your body and your mind and your spirit will become a really like open channel, I guess. Once you focus and are like, this is what we need to do. This is what needs to be done. We need to get our ass to the other side of this fucking river. Um, But yeah, so that was absolutely wild. So everyone was just cheering on the bridge, and we were just kind of laughed and just looked at each other, and it was just one of those life moments where you're just like, is this even real? Like the beautiful sun is shining. It was so hot. We were already almost dry because it was just, yeah, so hot. And we had just swam the Ganges, and we had a crowd of 400 people like cheering for us. It was amazing. And so we got up and made our way back up towards the beach, or towards or not the beach, the walking bridge, so that we could walk back across the bridge, not swim this time. And people still, like the whole walk across the bridge, they were cheering for us and they were patting us on the back, and they were amazed. It was quite hilarious. We were celebrities for a day in the village, for sure. But yeah, so we made our way back, and we're like, all right, it's time for rest before let's clean ourselves up and have some rest before it's time for dinner or whatever tonight. And I remember just going back to my room and absolutely collapsing and just exhaustion and being like, holy shit, I finally need to go to bed. I made it to India. I went to the Beatles ashram. I almost died across the Ganges, and I haven't even got to bed yet since I left Detroit. And I've got another 12 weeks of this shit every day before I'm going back. So let's buckle up, my friend, and let's get some sleep. So that was day one of my India trip. Um, and I hope you got at least some enjoyment and a little bit of entertainment out of this episode, and maybe a couple little small snippets of fun life advice. But yeah, so that was day one, and it led into a very, very interesting trip from there on out, as you can probably imagine. Um, but I am going to wrap this one up. We can continue this story um, another day. And yeah, thanks for listening, friends. I will see you, or talk to you, or hear you very soon. Namaste, my friend. Bye.